Every single man on planet Earth knows the feeling. You're trying to get it on, you're in bed with your lover, you're wherever with your lover, and your penis is just not cooperating. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much they try, it's still just gonna do whatever it wants to do. It feels like betrayal. It feels like impotence. It feels like weakness. It feels like everything in life is falling apart right now, and if you don't solve it, everything's gonna be bad. It feels terrible, or it can, you know? So when you get into that situation, you wanna know what to do. And I'm gonna tell you what to do. But there have been a lot of videos on this topic already done. And I want to go a little bit deeper because for my taste, honestly, the discussion has been a bit shallow on some very, very important parts. Namely, it's all in your brain. Now, they've talked a bit about anxiety, ADHD, autism, distractions, yada, yada, yada. We're gonna go deeper. When it comes to the physical, we're also gonna talk about maybe the erectile dysfunction is actually just a sign that you need to be doing something else. If that sounds interesting, keep watching. Let's talk about sex. Show where we talk about sex. I'm your host, Jerome Stewart Nichols, resident sex expert at ltasex.com, and Mr. Butters at getthebutters.com. Make sure to go over to getthebutters.com to get your new favorite lube, the world's best lube, whatever lube you need, front, back, mouth, whatever, massage, we got it all. Getthebutters.com, check it out, and let's get started with the show. Now, on the topic of erectile dysfunction, what's the first thing that you actually need to know? What counts as erectile dysfunction? I would think that's fair. So, when I was doing my research for a definition, and I admit, I had to go back and I had to look it up because when we talk about erectile dysfunction, it's always sort of in vague terms, like it just means like, I can't get erect. What does that mean? What does that mean for them? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for me personally? So I went and looked it up, and apparently all it means is just you can't get hard enough to have sex the way you want to have sex, right? So theoretically, if you and your partner have an easy entry and things work out where you're completely flaccid, theoretically, you could not count that as erectile dysfunction. I don't get that. Exactly. So I went and I looked a little bit further. I wanted to find out how firm, how erect, how hard a penis is actually supposed to be before it starts counting as erectile dysfunction. I had to get the answer. I had to know. I looked it up, and the answer, still very hard to find. What I found was the erection hardness scale, which is a 1 through 4 scale, which tells you absolutely nothing in relative terms about how firm the penis is supposed to be, okay? So I kept searching. And eventually, what I had to do was I had to go in and I had to convert the density, the pressure, and find something relative that I could actually compare it to for you guys. What your penis is supposed to actually feel like is a ripe banana with leather wrapped around it. I know that sounds odd, but if you think about it, it's actually quite pliable. If you really think about how firm a ripe banana is, it's not rock hard, it's not brick hard, it's actually quite pressed into it. It feels sort of like your hand almost. Yeah, that's a good actual mechanism, or a good comparison, actually, not right here on video, you're learning. It feels more like your hand, where it's like, it's squishy, but there's like something there. That's a good explanation of what you're supposed to feel like. Before we go too deep into trying to solve the problem of erectile dysfunction, I think you need to make sure that you have the problem to begin with. There is a lot of experience and a lot of understanding of what your penis is like personally, that before you ever start moving into what's wrong with me, find out what is natural and normal for you. You don't have to be that erect, you just have to be functional for the task. And when I was thinking about this, I was like, well, I guess that means I've never had erectile dysfunction in my life. Now, at the beginning of this video, I said every man has felt the feeling, and I have felt the feeling. But that tells you that just because you felt the feeling doesn't mean that it's true, right? That's why I wanted to stop and take a second and just see what erectile dysfunction actually looks like. You may not have a problem at all, and that's a good thing. But if you do, so let's talk about some possible causes and solutions. So the first answer in every single video, blog, article about erectile dysfunction is that it's probably mental, okay? It's probably not an organic cause, as they might say. The thing that people don't mention is that perhaps it's happening because you don't want what's happening. A lot of times there is pressure on men to be horny, desirous, wanting of things all the time. And the truth is, men are still humans. We want what we want. And truthfully, we don't always want more or even less than that. Okay? So if you're in a situation where you're not getting hard, the first thing you should go to is that I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be with this person. That should always be the first thought. Okay? Now, that can get you into trouble if you're, having a more long-term relationship and something like this pops up. But if it's with a random person, a new person, that should always be the first thought, is that this situation is not great for me. And maybe I should leave. The second most likely cause of why you cannot get an erection, being with a new person, or even just, having work stress, life stress, general stress, will cause your body to kind of shut down. Although people don't realize it, arousal and erections, becoming erect, is a multi-step process that happens within the body. The blood vessels dilate, they fill with blood, they trap the blood. It's a thing. And if you are not in the right chemical space to allow the right chemicals to flow, then you're not going to get an erection, and it's as simple as that. Now, the other part of that stress thing that I want to talk about that I've actually never heard anybody else talk about is the fact that maybe you have work to do. Maybe you have a feeling that your day is not complete. There are a lot of people in this world for whom relaxation, and with it, sex, is a reward for a hard day's work in their mind. I'm not telling you whether or not you're right or wrong. I just know that it's true. And there are lots of you. And for you, you're going to need to dot your T's, or cross your T's, dot your I's. You're going to need to make sure that all of your things are checked off for the day, so that your brain can say, okay, I can finally relax, I can finally have fun, I can finally enjoy myself. Otherwise, it's just never going to happen. And then, of course, you can also just be tired. You could be sleepy. Sleep deprivation is one of the biggest reasons why you can't get an erection. A lot of people don't realize that, on the day-to-day, if you just happen to not be able to get an erection, try going to sleep. If you have frequent, inability to get an erection, try waking up and having sex then. See if it is easier at all to get an erection first thing in the morning when you're full of energy, bright and shiny, and everything's working. That's one tip I've never seen anywhere else. Finally, let's talk about the more chronic things: anxiety, depression, autism, those sorts. Now, those are ones that you're going to actually need to probably see someone about, maybe talk to them about, maybe talk to someone who's experienced that thing for you in real life, because that gets into something that's a bit, personal is not even the right word, because we talk about so many personal things here on Let's Talk About Sex. But the feeling is that it's specific for you, and you need someone in your real life who can tell you, based on what they know about you. I can tell you this, though. One thing you can do: lower the lights, have smells around, and make sure that you're doing what you want to be doing. Now, before we get too far into all of this, I want to make sure that I am giving you one of the most important solutions. So, for the most part, a lot of the solutions are going to be things like exercising, eating better, getting more sleep, okay? But say you're already doing all those things and your brain is still, or your body, we'll get into the body causes later, but this little interlude here, I wanted to stop down and just give you an overview on what you're actually going to want to do to solve the erectile dysfunction problem very easily. And that is, you're going to want to get yourself a cock ring. Now, mental or physical, this should help for the most part. If there is blood flowing to the area in general, the cock ring will help. The cock ring's job is to wrap around the penis and testicles and then allow blood flow in, but restrict blood flow back out. As long as it is sized properly, that will actually work. Now, you do have multiple options for what you can for in terms of cock ring. The cock ring that I have here, simple silicone. This one actually glows in the dark, but this is just a simple silicone. It's about 1.5 inches. It'll stretch about maybe another 1/2 inch comfortably, so it'll give you about 2 inches, okay? And then the way you would know if this would fit you would literally take a tape measure around your penis and just measure it out, maybe remove about up to 1 inch, and then that would be where you'd probably want to go in terms of fit. Now, you have the cock ring, which I showed you, but then you also have something that's a bit more advanced, which is the cock sling. The cock sling goes over the cock and balls together, this side, and then this side here actually takes the balls separately and pulls them away from the body. Now, this is going to help you in a different way because it both restricts blood flow and then also gives testicular stimulation, which a lot of men enjoy and actually can promote an erection in ways that most people don't often talk about. So I wanted to stop down for a few minutes in the middle here in this transitionary section before we've gone on to the more medical issues to talk a bit about, these wonderful little devices. A lot of people think of them as just sex toys, but they're also like medical devices. If you are having problems with your erection, go ahead and get yourself a cock ring and give it a try. Even if you just like to have a more firm erection, or you want more predictable erections, you want your erection to last just a little bit longer after you ejaculate, that sort of thing. You want a bigger bulge in your underwear. Whatever you want, these things will help you in that way. Right? It'll help you feel more vital, more connected to your penis. And a lot of people really, really like them just as, accoutrement for their genitals. And I highly suggest it for erectile dysfunction. Now, self-aggrandizing, a little bit of promotion. But the truth is, when it comes to CBD lube, one thing I have found is that it has made me both more orgasmic. CBD works with blood circulation when it's applied topically. And when it's applied to the penis, what I have often found is that it creates a more plush erection. The skin of the penis itself feels like there's more substance to it. It's hard to explain beyond that, but if you've ever experienced it, you know what I mean. It just feels more engorged in a unique way that doesn't happen without CBD lube. You can go over to getthebutters.com and get that CBD lube today. That's the one we recommend, palm grease with CBD. It comes in multiple sizes, scented and unscented. We have different textures, but that's gonna be the best option, I think, personally, on the market for erectile dysfunction. Now, obviously, I'm not telling you it's gonna cure anything, but it's going to help make things more plush. And when you are trying to get aroused, you want as much support as humanly possible. All right, now, admittedly, that's already a lot of information and a lot of things for you to think about in terms of what's actually causing my erectile dysfunction. I want to drop one last thing in the mental side that I often see ignored, and that is simply a lack of security within yourself. I've mentioned a couple of times that erections are a multi-step process within the body, and it's a lot more complicated than people think. And I've said it because I think a lot of people forget just how intertwined the brain, the body are when it comes to erections. For some reason, it's just one of those things that people kind of ignore in terms of its specialness. But the ability to, at will, based on stimulus, get an erection is miraculous. If you feel like you can't do that, or if you feel like it's not going to be impressive enough, or if you're scared that you're not going to be able to perform with it, there are any number of reasons that could make you feel like you're just maybe a little inadequate. Oftentimes when it comes to sex, we do not give enough time and attention to the role that confidence and a sense of self-efficacy plays into actually making sure that we accomplish the task. Most of the time when people have, zero issues in bed, when you talk to them, what they actually will say to you is that essentially, I'm confident, I'm self-assured, I know I can do it, and everything's okay. When you talk to people who are, having a little bit of issues, the obviously is not gonna be there. But even if you talk to them, about their past, oftentimes they have always sort of been a little bit more anxious, a little bit more worried about their capability, their self-efficacy, worried that they might be, lacking. And I don't even just mean in size, I mean in power, in virility, in sort of in presence. This can create a big disconnect between the body and the mind. Something like that is absolutely going to get in the way of the neurological desire, of the chemical desire to be aroused. I would feel bad. I would feel like I was failing you if I didn't bother to say that out loud. All right, now that we've gone over both the physical and the mental aspects of it, let's talk about a few more solutions that we can go through here. Now, we've already talked about the cock ring and the cock sling. We've already talked about pausing. Maybe this isn't right for you. Okay, now let's move on. Penis pumps. Now, penis pumps. These are used on the penis to provide a vacuum pressure to actually encourage the blood flow into the penis itself. You can use that penis pump in conjunction with the cock ring. So if you don't have blood flow, as I mentioned earlier, if you have a lot of blood flow, a cock ring is going to be perfect for you. But if you don't have a lot of blood flow, then you're probably going to want to start with the penis pump to get the blood flow in. Once you've got the blood flow in, you use the cock ring or cock sling to maintain the erection. It's a beautiful combination. Now, this one is a bit odd to not have mentioned before, but in my head, what I was thinking was that this is essentially, if you have to get to position changes, which is the tip, then you are more likely going to have a medical concern. But it wasn't one of the top tips, so I just wanted to have it here at the end and make sure that it's actually included. Change the position that you're in. Some people can't maintain an erection while in missionary. Some people can't maintain it while doing any other position. And it varies from person to person. This is not really something I ever hear people talk about, but it is super common. Almost all men have certain body positions, whether it's the position that their entire body is in or the direction that their penis is actually pointing, that will make their erection disappear. And a lot of people don't think about it. A lot of people think that you should be able to do it in every position all the time, but like, we stand straight up, right? There's a designated position for basically everything that we're supposed to do. And for your body, the ergonomics may not fit any certain position. So just make sure you change the position and see if you can get the blood flow going. Next up is going to be where your doctor comes in: medication and surgery. Now, you have lots of options available to you. The advancements since the introduction of Viagra have been amazing. And now a lot of men are actually capable of living more sexually vibrant lives based on, a pill a day or a pill as needed. With all erectile dysfunction medications, you do have to worry about things like blood pressure. So make sure that you're speaking to your doctor. Obviously, your urologist, who would probably be the person prescribing this, it should already know about your medical history, but sometimes they're not the same person. Sometimes, there's just like a lack of communication. If you have blood pressure issues at all, make sure you are absolutely telling your doctor so that you're not having like a heart attack or fainting or passing out or something with the use of this medication. In terms of surgery, now that one is going to be outside of my purview, and that is where the tips for solutions will actually end. Because me and surgery are not great friends, and I would prefer someone else talk about it, take over from there. If you need specific information about erectile dysfunction surgeries, there are going to be more videos available for that. And if I can find somebody to interview, we'll come back and we'll do an erectile dysfunction surgery video. Now, the elephant in the room that I haven't talked about in terms of causes and possible solutions is simply your prostate. A lot of times, prostate health is not something that people think about, but it does often coincide with why, as an older person, maybe in your 40s or 50s, why you might be having a hard time keeping an erection. Your prostate health is something that you're gonna have to go see your doctor about. That's the main reason why I haven't really talked about it thus far. It's because there's not much you can do outside of a urologist's office. And honestly, diagnosing the prostate as the problem, you can't really do that outside of a urologist's office. And yes, if you were unaware, a urologist is the person that you would go see about your penis. Like the gynecologist is the person for women's genitals and sexual health. Erectile dysfunction is one of those topics that nobody really likes to talk about, men nor women. It's a rather complicated topic, and the feelings about all the various causes are even more plentiful. But that doesn't mean that you can't figure out the core issue that's going on with yours. It doesn't mean that you're stuck feeling weak, impotent, unhealthy, old, tired. It doesn't mean that you're missing out because you're no longer, like you were as a teenager. There are options available to you. Some of those are more extreme than others. Something as simple as a cock ring, something as serious as surgery. But you don't have to feel alone or scared or like you're incapable of doing absolutely anything, because that's not true. Erectile dysfunction doesn't own you. You own erectile dysfunction, for the most part. For now, thank you so much for watching. I have been your host, Jerome Stewart Nichols. You've been watching Let's Talk About Sex, the episode where we talk about erectile dysfunction. I hope that you have been educated today, fully edified, fully entertained and you're ready and whirring to come back for the next episode, having successfully conquered your erectile dysfunction. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah. Keep it sexy.